Alright everyone, MCU Collector here with the Build-A-Figure video itself. This is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Series X-Force Wave 1 Wendigo Build-A-Figure. This is the actual video for Wendigo, so I'm going to piece him together. We'll go over the articulation, look at the details, and I will do a comparison of him with Sasquatch, because they are very similar, because I know that they use a lot of the same parts. Actually, same legs, same arms, same torso for the most part, but this has the added tail, stuff like that. Obviously a new head. So we'll get right to it and let's build him. With Build-A-Figures, I always start with the torso piece. So we have here, and you can see that's where the tail is going to port in. So it is the same as Sasquatch, except obviously this hip portion has got to be changed out because we have to have that peg for the tail. First thing I'm going to do is actually going to port in the head. Now this is different. There's no ball joint. We actually port the head into the torso itself, which we'll do kind of like so. I think I had a hard time with the Sasquatch one too, because you had to position it kind of looking down, because you could see the torso, how it faces that way. So it was a little tricky. Now I didn't hear a snap or anything, so I don't know. Well, let's not have it in tightened all the way. So the hair is a little pliable, so you can kind of move it around. And then I'm gonna port it in there, and again, I'm not hearing any kind of snap or anything. I have not had luck lately putting these dang Build-A-Figures together. So I don't know. I think that's the most I can get it. I'm not hearing any clicks or anything, but it feels like it's not really on there. Let me try this again, because it should snap into place to the point where it'd be actually kind of difficult to remove it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that's how it sits on there. So it looks good, but again, it's not like clicking into place. But anyway, we'll get right to it and keep going. Here we have the left leg. So we'll port that in there, easy, like so. The right leg ports in nice and easy. You can see that he's kind of a tall one. The arms, now we'll just port on in there, and we get a click, nice little click for the arms. And the tail is done with a rubber material, so you can see it's very pliable. So no hard plastic, it is rubber. And it's just going to port on easily like so, and then you can actually get a swivel with it. But there we have it. So there is the Wendigo Build-A-Figure, and what an awesome size that he is. So real quick, right off the bat, I'm going to do a comparison with the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. And they look good together, and you can see they're basically the same size because they are basically the same figures. So there's some differences. Obviously the hip portion is different, so the hair that they use, the rubber hair pieces, are actually different, but you can see that the legs are the same. The feet are different. As you can see, he's got more pointy feet. His Sasquatch kind of looks like hands. So those are different. The hands themselves are different also, so you can see that this one is closed a little bit more. Sasquatch is a little bit more open. Sasquatch has a fist, whereas Wendigo has an open hand for the right side. But again, the arms are the same. The torso pieces, as far as I can tell, are the exact same. Yeah, they look the exact same. It's just, you know, the hip portion that's going to be changed out. And then obviously another big difference is this hair piece, this furry hair portion on the back. So this one's a lot wider, so you can see it goes out over the shoulders, whereas Sasquatch it didn't. And then it comes a little bit further down on Wendigo. It goes to there, whereas Sasquatch it goes a little bit up higher. So they are very similar because they use a lot of the same parts, but they definitely are have some differences. They are about the same height, but it looks really good. Let's get in closer to look at some of those nice details. Okay, so I had to darken it up a little bit so you could see the details in the head sculpt. So one thing that I think that Hasbro did a really good job, we get nice shading around the eyes to go over the red eyeballs, but his teeth, they came out looking pretty good. Now, somebody had commented on Instagram that they didn't like the way the paint apps looked on him. I think they did pretty good. You could see the teeth, they're done in a kind of a yellow color. He's got red inside of his mouth, red tongue, but he's also got blood on his teeth. So on Instagram, if you look at my picture, you could kind of see it a little bit zoomed in, and you could see that it was done with like a print type of thing, because you could see like the gritting of the blood paint. So from far away you're not going to notice that, but it's only up close that you see it. But it's nice that they put that in there, because you know, with action figures and stuff, that you know, they don't show a lot of blood, but we actually get some on his teeth, so that is pretty cool. We get a lot of blue in the hair throughout to show different shading and whatnot. So we get, you know, the white as it goes into a light blue and into a darker blue on the outer edges. Now throughout the figure we get a nice little blue wash. Some areas it looks a little weird, you know, we don't really get any on the torso, but up here towards the shoulders we do. Then down here on the lower torso into this furry hair part, which has a lot of blue wash in it. We even get some on his back, even the back of the torso up here towards the top, the shoulder balls, we get it. His lower forearm, the upper arm doesn't, but that shoulder does. Lower forearm, a little bit on the back of his hands as well, on both sides. Then we also get it on the tail here. And then again, this whole furry part there, for the most part, is covered in that blue wash. The back of the legs, there is no blue wash whatsoever. Front of the legs, we get it just on the lower legs, nothing on the upper legs. And then on his feet, we also get that blue wash on his feet. So a lot of good detail there, which I really like, and I like the way that comes out looking. So now let's take a look at his articulation. Okay, so going over the articulation of Wendigo, he can look down only slightly, not a whole lot. He can look up a little bit, which ends up just being really straight out. There is a swivel in there, and you don't really get any neck pivot in there. Shoulders go up this high. This furry portion here doesn't really get in the way. That's basically at its limit. So even though it's there, I mean, it's just a little bit pliable, so it would have some give, but there's really no point because it's there. You could work a full rotation if you really wanted to. There's an upper bicep swivel. We get a single jointed elbow, which gives us just under 90 degrees, I would say. There's a wrist swivel, and there's a hinge. There's a deep hinge in the hand, and you just really have to work it, but then it kind of looks funny, so it hinges a little so much that it pulls the hand right out of place. So be careful with that. You don't need to hinge it so much, but it's nice that it has a deep hinge in there, right? Okay, ab crunch, that crunches that far forward. So if you noticed, it wasn't a whole lot. So here's regular, here's crunch down. Going back, he goes back a lot more. There is a waist swivel. Legs go out that far apart, which is good there. Doesn't really kick out a whole lot, because then you pull the leg right out, so it kicks up about that far, goes back about that far. Upper thigh cut, of course, where the leg comes together. Double jointed knee there. There's no kind of boot cut or anything, but you get a little bit of an ankle pivot. Some of this fur coming down along the side of the ankles will hinder that a little bit. The foot hinges down only slightly, because again, that fur on the back hinders that foot motion, so you're gonna kind of get stopped there, but then it hinges up quite a bit. So that is the articulation for this guy. So very similar to the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. Got to watch out, even with that tail, you know, he kind of adds a little bit of weight, so he wants to fall back, but then there is a full swivel at the tail, so you can kind of get it in some different areas depending on how you want it to really look. And again, it's just kind of a rubbery material. So there is the Wendigo Build-A-Figure, looking pretty good. Now we'll go through a ranking of how I like the figures in this wave, and then I want to give a little bit of an update to the Cannonball figure, so we'll get to that right now. So before the ranking, I want to talk about the Cannonball figure. So a couple of people had asked me, and I didn't even think to do this because I just assumed it wouldn't be, but they asked if the flame could be removed, and yes, it could. It's not stuck on there too tight or anything. It just kind of has this peg. There's a little bit of a hole. It just ports right in there. It doesn't even kind of snaps into place, but again, it's very easy to pull out, so it's not breaking it in any way or anything, so you can do that. And I was thinking maybe you could turn this around, but then it's got that serial number printed on there. So again, the flame effect can be removed from Cannonball. So looking at the whole wave and looking at how I would rank the figures in the wave. So of course, number one is Nightcrawler, because naturally, right? Of course. Number two is Mr. Sinister in the order in which I had reviewed them. Of course, naturally as well. Let's see if I can get him to stand without falling down. So Nightcrawler number one, Mr. Sinister number two. Number three, I really like this XForce Wolverine, even though it's, you know, just another Wolverine figure. The new claws are awesome, and I like the way the black and gray looks. Number four is going to be Cannonball. I still think it's a great concept, even though, you know, the figure is just okay. Great concept nonetheless. Boom Boom is next. That hot pink looks awesome. The new hand effect I really like. Just, you know, a typical female figure that's limited in movement. Then at the bottom of the list is going to be Guardian. If I were to include Wendigo in my ranking, I would probably put him after Wolverine, before Cannonball. And he's too tall. See his head down there a little bit. He is an awesome Build-A-Figure. I'll put him in the back there. Awesome Build-A-Figure, but you know, he would still be my number 4 favorite figure in the wave. So again, number 1, Nightcrawler. Number 2, Mr. Sinister. Number 3, Wolverine. Number 4, Cannonball. Number 5, Boom Boom. Number 6, Guardian. Wendigo would go right here after Wolverine, before Cannonball. Okay, so there is my review of the Wendigo Build-A-Figure. Let me know down in the comments below. Are you guys excited about this one? Are you happy with your previous release? Because it has been released before in, I believe, the Fin Fang Foom Wave years ago. You guys let me know if you have that figure. Which one do you like more? The one that you have, or what do you think of this one? I'm curious to know what you guys think. I'm happy to have them since I don't have that previous figure anyway. The size of this, I think, is going to be bulkier. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be taller because I don't have that figure, but this one's definitely bulkier. I'm okay with the reuse of the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure parts. It just makes sense to do that, so I'm very happy with this figure. The added blood to the teeth was a very nice touch, so I'm very happy with it. So that's my review. If you guys liked the video, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, guys, thank you for watching.